Hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want go!
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week with an absolute bumper episode to get through. Tonight we've got a game against Leeds United, a local derby in which we didn't come out actual victors because, you know, football and millions of pounds. We've also got fans forums to talk about. We've got protests. We've got a whole lot happening. Tonight, joining me, I've got Charlie, I've got Stevie, I've got Ash, who's going to be man in the comments. Make sure you get involved. I want to hear from you lot tonight on what you've got to say. I am the incredible General Booyaka Booyaka. Good evening and welcome to the show. God, where do we start? Shall we start with a football, Ash? Shall we get on that?
Yeah, why not, mate? Why not?
God almighty. Right then, so Sheffield Wednesday win a lunchtime kickoff against Leeds United, or Leeds United win a lunchtime kickoff at home. A game that I didn't have great high hopes for, given how well they were doing in the league. And I do begrudge them every success that they have. So, you know, jot that down. Ash, how did you feel getting into this game? You optimistic? Think we might edge it?
Well, I was the only one in the predictions that put us down for a 1-0 win. So, right. Yeah, I was really thinking. But just one quick question, Dan. Was it a lunchtime kickoff or a dinner time kickoff?
I tell you what, listen. I've lived in the South now for about 20 odd years, and I'm sick of having this conversation. It does go breakfast, dinner, and tea, but I can't have those people looking at me. I can't have them do that face where you're like, you go, what went for dinner at like midday, and they're like, well, I don't know, like it's not for another 7 hours. It's what? You know, can't work it out. They don't know, Ash, and I've just got back from work, so I'm on edge. I always pull you up on that. I know you being a southerner now. I put down as a 1-0. Obviously, more in hope than anything else. You've just got to look at their squad, not just their team, their squad. Yeah. You look at the bench that they brought Raziani, I think his name is, and then Nonto. So what's that? £50 million plus he's into. So and no disrespect to us, we brought Pato and Johnson on. So you know, I know Steve is he uses a phrase a lot, but there is levels, and it was levels. I mean. The thousands of Wednesday fans who did make the little short trip over, come away disappointed a little bit, didn't we? Well, yeah, I mean, let's get into it, Stevie. This is the lineup here. Beadle, Valerie, Ihekwe getting a start after a long-term injury. Bernard back after suspension. I think he's already played, hasn't he? I can't remember. They all merge into one after a while. Lowe, Charles, Bannon, Ingleson, Gassama, Masabo, and Windass. Decent lineup, I thought. I think, you know, given the options available for what we had at centre back, Ihekwe getting a start wasn't really a surprise, was it to you?
No, I don't think so. I was more surprised at the formation, to be honest with you, rather than the lineup, if that makes sense. Because traditionally, when you go to places like that, and I think we did it last season against Southampton, and we got a bit of a tonking, and we went somewhere else. It might have been Ipswich and got a bit of a battering as well. When we go up against and try and match up against those players, those teams, traditionally we tend to go for a 3 or a 5 and try and set that low block and sit in a little bit. For us to go out there with a 4, I thought was quite brave. I don't know if his hand was forced by, you know, the limitations that we had at centre half. Otegbayo, for all the good that he's done in flashes when he's come in, has shown that when he gets a start, I don't think he's quite ready to play the top end championship teams. He got hooked at Middlesbrough, didn't he? And he got hooked again at half time. I think it was against Millwall. Didn't cover himself in glory. So, you know, looking at that lineup as was, no real argument. It's nice to see Ihekwe come in, and I'm sure we'll get into it. He played quite well. Bernard, Lowe, Again, I was worried about him being at left back with Dan James. I'm still having nightmares about that goal at Hillsborough, to be honest with you. But,
he's just too good, isn't he? Like some of those players, like Dan James, and then Ampadu at the back, I think is classy AF. I'm looking at Ampadu with very much green-eyed, monstery eyes. Chaz, get me out of this ridiculous hole. Thanks, man. Now, it started. Shit start. Get straight into it. Get straight into the goal, Chaz.
Terrible start, and I think secretly, like, you know me, like I'm very optimistic, but I was like, we haven't had a battering in ages, and these could absolutely batter us. And I think when that first goal, what was it? Was it 3 minutes? 6 minutes? 3 minutes? It was really early, wasn't it? I was like, oh, awesome. I was like, this is absolutely like game over already. I really don't think we're going to get back into it. And it was really, I don't think it was Beadle's fault, but I could see what he was trying to do. It was like a brave move to kind of throw himself out at it. But ultimately, if you can't get your hands on it to do that, don't come that far out. Having said that, there's 3 chaps just stood in the goal having a fag doing nothing. like it goes past Beadle, fair enough, but it wasn't like, it didn't like ricochet off him. Like there was a beat pause, and these 3 people just like, huh? Like stood in the goal as it just soars in. So I wouldn't say Beadle is entirely like to blame for that. Really, it was a massive defensive errors, and it was one of those where it was like, is this what we're now going to watch every roughly 10 to 15 minutes for the next 90? So yeah, a rubbish start.
The only thing, sorry, Dan, the only thing that I was going to make a comment on, and this is not, it's not a Beadle thing, was if you watch the replay, and it's easy to say, isn't it? You've watched the replay 4 or 5 times. But you know, when the ball's first played, if he makes the decision to come for the ball, I think he gets it straight away. He gathers it. Do you know? And it's not, and it's him, he's 19, 20 now.
Yeah, of course.
Goalkeepers get into the prime in the late 20s, 30s, don't they? So he has got a lot of game time to go to make those decisions. But I just thought if he looks like, if he goes straight for that ball with he just comes out, gathers it up. And he doesn't, and I think he was just unlucky when he makes that decision to come out. I can't really blame him for what happened then, really. For me,
it's not a howler from his perspective, not really.
No.
Like it's unfortunate, but it's not what the hell was he playing at? What was he doing? And he did look a little bit like he was having a bit of argy-bargy afterwards with Bannon. Like, I don't know if I'm reading into, like, he was, maybe it was a bit like, oh, you know, I wouldn't have, maybe in the moment, but like you say, when you look at it and you actually look at it on the replay and see it, it's
Bannon had a pop at him.
Yeah, it looked like he did, and it was a bit like, oh, he's just a second hesitant, half a second hesitant.
Let's open it up, right? So the Second Tier podcast tweeted something along the lines of Melier, what you doing? Oh, hang on, it's the other team. James Beadle, what are you doing? In capital letters, which I felt was overly harsh.
Absolutely
so I tell
ridiculous.
You what, let's make that today's hot topic. Get yourselves in the comments. Get yourselves talking about James Beadle. Could he have done better? Well, actually, anybody could have done better, right? But I felt that it was more that the defenders didn't react rather than the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper could have put his ass on the line, and no one was there to help him out. But I tell you what, let's discuss that in the comments. Let's put that out to you guys, Stevie.
Dan, just before you move on from that, there's a comment there. I don't know if Ash can see it. Jay Blogs has just made it regarding Bernard. And that one there, if you go back and have a look at it again, the ball it's an excellent ball, and it curves just far enough away from Bernard to make it look like Bernard is sort of out of position. But when you look back at the goal, it's almost like the attacker, is it Solomon scored, didn't he? Mm-hmm. He's run between Ihekwe and Bernard, and it didn't feel like either one of those players knew where he was, where he'd come from, and who should have been picking him up. I don't feel that defensively those two at centre half had taken responsibility there. And I think that sort of led into, I'm not saying that meant that the circumstances suddenly became that Beadle had to do something different. Beadle probably could have done a little bit better. I think he's just come to cover everything and try and smash it away. He dived out against Preston, I think it was the other week, didn't he? And made himself as big as possible. But I'm not sure if that would contribute to it, but I don't think he's entirely to blame. I think there are one or two others there that aren't entirely blameless either.
Absolutely not. So let's go into the comments and let's discuss it there. Was it Beadle's fault? Essentially, personally, I don't think it was. It's a young kid, making a last ditch tackle. Now, Stevie, after that goal, we as Wednesday fans, I thought, God, this is going to be 6-0. I thought this is going to be Ipswich all over again, right? I thought this was going to be an absolute besting. Oh, what was that game where we were 3-0 down against Sunderland by half time at home under Chisco? You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be something like that. However, for the next half an hour, even more, we were subjected to some good football. I felt, I say good football. I don't know, right? And this is what I want to make sense of, Stevie, was it them rope-a-doping us a little bit because they were so assured at the back? We didn't really look like we were going to break through. We didn't really get many shots in and things like that. But I felt the energy and the intensity was there. And had we had an informed striker, I feel like we might have got something over that next 40 minutes. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit to the group chat. And I was in the car on the way back from Leeds, and you were losing your head yesterday. Yeah, like you just said, the rope-a-dope. You were angry. Ampadu this and this player that, and look at everybody else, and we're not good enough, and they've just dealt with us, and we so on and so forth.
You're outing me as being unmeasured here, Stevie, and you're making me look like a volatile northern man that spent all lunchtime in the pub, dinner time in the pub. You know what I mean? But
you were quite grumpy, and I thought at the time, jokes aside, I don't know how it came across on TV. Obviously, I was there. It didn't feel like a hammering in the game. And I know it was 3-0, and people will tell me otherwise. You can look at the possession stats. You can look at touches in the opposed box, shots, saves had to make, passes, etc. It didn't feel like that kind of game. Certainly off the back of that early goal that we conceded. And there were points in the first half where I think we matched them. I genuinely do. And I think we were, whether we overachieved or whether they were just sort of sitting back and giving it that whole rope-a-dope approach, only Leeds will be able to answer that. To be fair, but there were chances and opportunities. We were getting the ball. We were defending well. We set that low block, and I'll listen back to the preview show, the Hello from the Other Side that you did, and their fellow was saying that they always struggle against a low block. And I think that was something that we did. We just sat in. We became difficult to break down. We hit them on the counter. The problem that you've got when you're trying to hit teams on the counter is it can only go one or two ways. You're either going to play with a false nine effectively, which is what Windass did, and then you sort of try and you look a little bit, or you play with a target man striker where you're looking at a Michael Smith, certainly more than an Ugbo. And I don't necessarily think that we set up yesterday with a target man in mind to be able to play. So we had to sort of get to a situation where we were creating the opportunities that we did. And I think you can use that Windass one where he's had the opportunity and he's took a touch too many, or he's over egged it with the touch that he had, and he had an opportunity where he's straight through to finish it and didn't take that chance that in a different situation.
I think I said in the chat, didn't I? I think I said in the chat he'll regret not hitting that first time, trying to take an extra touch, kind of dropped his ass a little bit. Ash, let's get to the comments in reference to the goal, see what the hot topic is, what the mans are saying, what the interwebs, the great unwashed out there, the doom scrollers, the people that have tuned in tonight to have a good whinge once we've got this football out of the way. And this is whinge-worthy in itself. But go on.
First one is from Nat, and says, all my mates, Leeds fans, say they would take Beadle over Melier any day.
Deal.
No, he has dropped a few clangers that have cost him some points.
I'd take Charlie over Melier.
We don't know what you want to do at weekend, Steve. No. I said it earlier, Beadle has gained us more points than he's lost us. It's a clanger, but I'll forgive him.
Yeah, I think that's probably
and Paul Ferrugia has said Beadle saved more points than he's cost us. I think we've said that quite a few times when he has I'd made a mistake, but they're going to start catching up with him soon, aren't they?
if he keeps it up.
The Wicker man has been on fault is strong word, just a slight mistake.
Yeah.
And Liam Henderson, think Beadle should have pushed it wider, but defenders certainly didn't help him. So.
Yeah, I don't feel that that's a keeper error. I think he's put his
No.
ass on the line and the players around him have let him down. But it depends what you want from your goalkeeper, I guess, doesn't it? And what they've been coached and stuff like that. I think that one's going to rumble on. Keep your comments coming in about the Beadle error in inverted bunny rabbit ears. Now, Chas, in terms of events, not a lot's happened until the second goal that they scored, apart from Ike Ugbo. And the only I desperately tried to find it. Right, somebody did a wonderful animation, and you're gonna have to bear with me because this is one of those classic weird Dan Fudge analogies. But has anybody seen that animation of Donald Trump and the assassination attempt where he just turns his head like literally milliseconds before the bullet goes through his ear? I was desperately trying to find that animation and then gone, this is what Ike Ugbo did. But he's a striker. Where's he looking? What's he doing?
I don't know if it's just a terrible angle when you see it straight on. It literally looks like he goes, why would you move your head away from the ball? Unless he was like revving up to then hit it. A glance, and it would have gone off him. He was in a perfect spot. If he'd have just nudged forward, the momentum of the way it was, it looks like he backs away from it. It's getting harder and harder to defend him for that. I really don't know. I think he might be shit. Oh no!
I think we might have to come to terms with the fact that the geezer who's had about 10 clubs by the time he was 25 might be shit. Ash, have you got anything to add about that? Where do you stand on the Ugbo debate? Because I kind of fart around the poo with it most weeks, and I'm going to want some definitive answers. We're talking nearly 30 games now. It's February next week.
I'm going to get really shut down for this, but I know it looked like he moved out of the way, but I think he was like that to head it. I don't think I wouldn't. Well, you would hope your 2.5 £3 million striker who hasn't scored would just chuck anything at anything, want it to go. And it was offside anyway, so it wouldn't have counted. But you still need to put it in the net, don't you? You still want him to score and then go.
I think that's the difference, yeah.
You still got to put it in. But I do think when you look at it and he like puts his head back and then he motions forward. So I'm hoping in my head that is meant to
just
go like that. Yeah, just mistimed it rather than done the full Matrix Neo thing, you know.
I think that's
what it looks
like. It's gone, what the bloody hell's that? He's made him jump and popped out the way of it.
A ball in the box.
The problem on yesterday was not just Ugbo. I think we had one shot on target, was it? I think Masaba in the first half. And that was it. We were poor up front, weren't we?
There was a lot of huffing and puffing, and I must admit there was a couple of Leeds fans that did pop online and sort of say like, "Look, if you had any quality in the final third, you'd be great." But that would mean that the midfield sorted, and we're about to lose a big kingpin in the middle of the park there. But in the interim, they scored, and then they scored again. But we're 20 minutes in, and I know we've got a lot to get through, and that was a difficult 90 minutes. Stevie, I'm going to give you closing comments on the Leeds game.
Frustrating afternoon because it offered our performance demonstrated that we can match teams that are up there. And I know there's been a lot of talk about us only being a bit of a flat track bully and beating teams below us. And I know that we haven't necessarily taken the points from the teams that we played above, but that performance yesterday was nothing to be ashamed of. And I do think even though they've scored 2 goals late on and 3-0, people will argue that 3-0 is 3-0 and what have you, but it didn't feel like a 3-0 game in the ground. And I think there were a lot of positive performances from our lads. Ihekwe coming back in for the first game did well. Again, I'll say it every week, and it's no secret now. I thought Charles was absolutely outstanding. For me, I messaged my Leeds mate at half time, told him I thought he was the best player on the pitch, and I stand by that. At times he was absolutely unreal. I thought Gassama, I thought he played well again. A little bit disappointed with Masaba. He's flattering to deceive a little bit again. Windass was one of those where we talk about Windass being all or nothing at times, and he's that clutch player in big games where he can do nothing but then go and stick a ball in from 30-40 yards out. And it was one of those games where if he did nothing, he'd feel a little bit abject. However, That's where we were with him yesterday. But you know, I didn't come away from it hanging my head in shame. I wasn't angry. I was just disappointed.
I think Danny echoed similar sort of comments. He said it didn't feel like a 3-0 game. Did you want to add something, Ash? Sorry, I cut you off.
No. I was just I was going to say basically the same as Stevie. It's if that finished 1-1, people would have gone, yeah, good game. We put up a great 3-0. It wasn't 3-0 at all. And yes, I know it was if you look at the scoreline, and that's the stat that matters. But in the context of the game, it wasn't. And just reading through some of the comments that people put in, Stuart Vaughan has put, I know the scoreline was different, but to me, there were parallels between yesterday and the Blunts game. Kept them fairly quiet, but they had the quality in both boxes, which I totally agree with on that. I think you do for Leeds United scoring 3 goals, but then rarely troubling Beadle at the other. You know, so we've got 3rd minute. And we've got the 86th and the 95th, I think it was, they scored. In between that 83 minutes, it weren't like they were peppering the goal or anything. I think, for me, Inekwe did really well for being out so long and then coming in for that game. I really did rate him. I'm thinking Charles, yeah, I mean, what can you say?
Let's get into it.
There was a tackle, and he was just... They lost the ball in midfield, tracked back, slid in, won the ball, come back, counter-attack, opposite way, set it all up. You're on about ages, but for a 21-year-old as well, he is a different gravy for me.
I'm still upset about it.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? But let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So, once again, from out of absolutely nowhere, our chairman and exalted leader in charge decided he wanted to host a fans forum.
Exalted leader.
A get-together where you can air your concerns and thoughts. That's what a forum is, right? It's a chat. It's where you can air your thoughts and concerns. And he's going to go, hey, do you know what? I'd never considered that. Or, do you know what? That's a really good question, Alan. Let me give you the answer, and it's going to be measured, and it's not going to be a slagging match, right? That's what a forum is, right? That's what it's for. I'm right there. We've had these before.
You've obviously not been to a Chancery fans forum before, Daniel.
Of course. Oh, my time's expensive. Of course. This is not the way it went. Once again, it was ill-timed. It was ill-received, and it was random. We didn't want it. You know, there's genuinely, I'd have said we were in a positive mood around the club. There was a few rumours creeping in about Danny's relationship with Chancery, based on the back of the Southampton debacle about whether he was going to go there to replace their manager when it became available. So everybody online started to, speculate and start saying some rumours. So Chancery's gone, hey, here's an idea for you. I'm going to do one of them fans forums. Now, I know in the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I've got an opportunity to do a lot of that Chancery voice, but I might have to bed it for a bit because I don't want to lose the message. So Stevie and Ash got yourself a decent feed. Stevie, do you know what? Jay Blogs has just put a great comment there. I was really enjoying not hearing from Chancery. I kind of agree. That's a great one. So, Stevie, if you want to get the first graphic up and tell me all about it and give me some preamble to it, and then let's see if we can make sense of what's been said and who's at fault for what.
I think it's important to probably preface everything that's going to go. I think we didn't discuss this off air, so just to be clear, I think we're probably going to the majority of the next sort of 20 minutes or so is going to be around the Southampton stuff. We could talk about the safe standing, we could talk about academy, we could talk about all of that. I think that we're going to get into the meat and gravy, aren't we? About the stuff that people
pie, peas and gravy.
Pie, peas and gravy. The Hendos was runny. It was too runny.
Sorry, how are you having your Hendos if it's not runny?
It was it was watery. It felt really watery.
Sorry, are we talking Hendo's gravy or Hendos?
Hendos.
Did you think he's watering it down?
Listen, Ash even
I can't believe out of everything out of this fans forum, the headline is going to be that Chancery waters down Hendos.
Saving money.
Waters
He turned around and went, listen, he turned around and he went, just watch that. It comes out quick. And it just came out like, it was too quick.
All right.
For God's
Anyway.
In-depth analysis of a 6-hour fans forum. Welcome to the Wednesday week.
It was in, and to be honest with you, jokes aside, I thought, and I'm going to be controversial, I think, and I want to say this because we've got a last man standing group chat, and there were a lot of people that were posted in there at the time, and me and Ash were sitting together, and I don't know what Ash thinks. It felt like the things that were being said in the formative stages of the evening were being taken out of context a little bit, and people were looking for sound bites that Chansiri, and I'm not a Chansiri defender at all. I'm not. I want to be clear on that. I don't feel like I'm necessarily pro or anti Chansiri. I said this yesterday. I'm pro Sheffield Wednesday, and I think he makes a lot of mistakes. I think he does things that hinder the progress of our club, and I think he's been quite obstinate at times. I'm laughing because we've just put a graphic up that says from Neon Brown that says needs a tap shop T-shirt, Day Pond Waters down Hendos, which I think could go. It'd sell a fair few, wouldn't it? But I don't feel that he was coming across and he was deliberately obtuse or obstructive in the first instance. It felt like he'd gone in there with a plan. And I think in terms of the timing of the forum itself, I just got the vibe that he wanted to say some things that he was later told that he couldn't say.
Go on, Chaz.
Can I just, this is very rare that I ever do this, so I apologise. As a speech therapist, I'm not defending Chansiri at all, and this is not me trying to suggest that he doesn't mean the things he says broadly. But one of the things I would say is that when English is not your first language, sometimes the phrasing that is used on things, it can have different connotations depending on how it's taken. And I think that is definitely a big issue with some of the way that some of the sentences have been pulled out. I'm not defending him. I'm not saying he doesn't talk nonsense. But if you take things word for word and just like you take things sentence for sentence and just plaster them on, it's far easier for that then to be taken out of context, particularly if you consider that someone is not necessarily, does that make sense? Not necessarily using word for word what they mean to mean.
Listen, Charlie, coming from a man who has used, well, you can't remove all context and then tar me with that brush in no less than 4 disciplinaries. I feel that you're preaching to the converted on that one, Chaz. Let's get into the sentences, shall we? Let's get into some of the sound bites. Let's see if we can dissect some of them. Ash, get me the first one up, bro. Let's have a look. Let's go. And people are agreeing with Charlie. Look at that. Ashley Green agreeing with the Chaz. Clip that. Ash, get me the first comment up here. So somebody approached the DC in the thing. I'm treading water and I've got it right in front of me. It's there, Ash. I've got it. And it said, "Where was the last time you spoke to Roll?" And he just went, "December." Now, that's two weeks in. Now, at this point, you think, all right, well, why haven't we got any targets lined up? Why have we not got anything ready? Do we have any irons in the fire? Now, that sentence and that response, Ash, I'll come to you, is what it is, says what it says. However, is there a bit of facetiousness in it? I'm gonna give you the opportunity to tell me, is that Chansiri playing his cards close to his chest because he's got some geezers over the pocket, or is it just a belligerent Chansiri response?
Yeah, it's just a Chansiri response.
Brilliant. Let's move.
No. There's more than a couple of word answer there. I'm going to go that, obviously, I agree with what Stevie said. I think the whole premise of calling this fans forum was for him to say things, and it was blatantly obvious, maybe 5 or 6 times in the evening when Trevor was on his right shoulder, I think it was. He leant over, or he said something, or Trevor whispered, and he did put the mic down and go, "Oh, I can't say." Well, he didn't say, "Oh, I can't say that," but like in Chansiri way of saying, "I can't say that. I'd like to, but I can't." So there is
finally, fair play, Mr. Braithwaite. Fair play. Finally, it's only been 10 years.
But got done dirty with that photo, by the way. He got done dirty with that photo.
One where he's asleep. Geezer Geezer's just having a blink, and all of a sudden he's passed out.
Man blinks and they get caught.
I don't understand, and we all love to understand. We know that the hierarchy and the club, the way the club's run, very lean, isn't it? It does come across like it's Danny Rule, Chansiri. Basically, that's it. You know that. So, but then in the evening when he's on about transfer, so people asking about, have you seen a transfer list from Danny Rule? Have you got a list of names? And he's not seen it and all this. But then later on in the evening, he does say about this transfer. What's the word? Committee. There's a transfer committee. So maybe that Role has spoken to someone on that, and he hasn't directly spoke to Chansiri. You know, about that.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you've said that, Ash, right? Because I feel that, like, bear in mind, we've said for years, get somebody in to look after something for you. Get a director of football in. Get somebody in who's going to sort these transfers out. If Chansiri has not directly spoken to Danny Rule, that doesn't mean that Danny's not spoken to anybody, Ray transfers. We know the much maligned Amadou Paxao is involved somewhere. As he submitted a list to him. And just like Charlie says, the soundbite that's there, when was the last time you spoke to Danny, does need expanding a little bit, right?
Yeah, it does. It is a headline.
I just mean face to face. Again, I'm not defending any of it, and I'm not defending either side. But if you ask me when the last time I spoke to my boss face to face, the answer is also December. But that doesn't mean that I've not been emailing her or him, protecting my work identity.
Speech therapists, Yorkshire area, 50-mile radius.
Please don't come to my work and harass me. Like, you know, again, and I'm not saying he's not being a bit slippery with stuff and a bit evasive, or sometimes not evasive and then having to go, whoops, I didn't mean to say that, which is actually so annoying. It's like when your friend says, oh my God, I've got something to tell you. Oh, but I can't, I shouldn't say. Well, shut up then. Don't say it. Like, don't give half a Tory. But I don't know. It's just something, it's like, maybe last time they did speak face to face was December. I don't know. Maybe that's not that bad. I don't know. Like, it's just.
I don't know. Well, I tell you what, listen, I'm going to use this opportunity to take a bit of a break when I find out when Charlie said, don't come and visit me at work, whether she was talking to you lot listening and watching out there or to me directly. Join us back in a few seconds. I'm pretty sure it was to me. All right, so we're back. Let's get on to the DR transfer demands. So DC on Roll's transfer demands. I still don't know. He hasn't given me anything. Now, this is one of those things. It doesn't mean I know nothing. The final say must come from the coach. I might end up doing the voice all night. I'm sorry in advance. I tell you what it is, because I had one comment say, do the voice. I was like, well, I've got to give them what they want. You know what I mean? So I go, well, what we're talking about, Stevie. Let's come to you. Transfer demand. DC on Rolls transfer demand. Is that what Charlie was saying? Is that a good example? Is that just a neat little soundbite, or do you reckon there was more to it? I mean, you were there. You were having your pie and peas in runny endos.
I can't help but think that Chansiri is a man of honour. We can say whatever we want about him, and we can have our opinions about how he's running our football club and what he's doing. I don't think he lies, but I don't think he is exclusive. He's not exclusive. It's not that. I don't think he's forthcoming with the entirety of the truth that he tells, if that makes sense. So if it suits Chansiri's narrative to say, as you've just put there, and forgive me, I'll put it back up. I still don't know. He hasn't given me anything. It doesn't mean I know nothing. The final say must come from the coach. Yeah. I genuinely believe that Chansiri knows what Rule wants.
Absolutely, because that, again, not to pick that apart, but it's like, he hasn't given me anything, but that doesn't mean I don't know anything. So you do. So you've got some. So somehow you have got some information. But what you're saying is Danny might not have directly put it into your hand. Those are two different things.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I think, and I genuinely think it's, and I put it on a tweet yesterday that got a bit of interaction. I just think he's doing a bad job of managing the people underneath him.
But these fans, this is what these fans forums are, though, Stevie. These are absolutely. He had a great opportunity in that point to go, listen, Danny Rolls is giving his list to my geezer in charge of transfers in Paxo. I know they're talking, so we're all right. He could have said that. He could have said that.
But I don't, because he didn't. I don't think that's happened, and I think we're overthinking it. And I genuinely think that he knows. He's heard. There's been two sides. There's a camp. There's rules. Camp Rule. Camp Chancery.
But he could have placated all of that all in one.
He could have done, but he didn't. He could have done, but
he wanted to be a belligerent bellend about it.
I think Rule's sitting here going, right, he's going to come to me because I'm the best thing that he's ever had. And I think Chancery's sitting over here going, I'm too proud to be able to come across here. And I think what's happening is you've got Chancery at this side, you've got Rule at this side. Rule's going, I'm telling you now, I am telling you now, he's going to come to me first. And Chancery's going, no, if he wants to get this team up, he's going to have to come to me. I'm the boss and he needs to come to me. And I think what's happened is we've got two people that are just going like this. And I think it's killing the momentum that we've got. And, I'm not going to get after either one of them. It's just my opinion. But I think that what we need here is a manager. The person in the hierarchy needs to blink first. And what he needs to do is he needs to go, right, I'd do it if I were at work. You'll do it as a manager, Dan. Charlie, you do it. I should do it. We'd all sit here and do it. If I've got an employee, somebody working underneath me that is not reporting what needs to be reported, it is my job to get after him and say, what's happening here?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
If there's a breakdown in communication, I wouldn't manage up and say, right, we're not talking at the moment. I'm going to blink first. Can we sort it out, please, Mr. Boss? Mr. Boss, man. What I'm going to say is the other way around, and Chancery needs to go, look, I'm in charge. You're running my football club. I'm paying your wages. This is what is going to happen next. And we need to figure it out. At some point in the next 15, 20 minutes, I hope we get to an opportunity to talk about the contract situation, the compensation and everything else, because I don't think Danny has covered himself in any glory here. And I'll say that now.
Neither of them.
I don't think...
Ash, you've got two kids. How would you manage that when they're not talking to each other? Because that's what it fucking sounds like.
It doesn't, but I don't think Chancery is. So there's been questions. All this come out. There's been questions about his business leadership or what's his experience, and we all know that running a football club is totally different to any sort of business as well. So, and he hasn't got, or it seems on the outside that he's got the right people around him. He says he does go on about his people a lot, his people, my people, like this. But we as maybe this packs out. He's the one. We don't see any of this, and I just think that his way of running a club is not what the norm is, and he's not doing it right. If he's doing it his way, he's right to run it how he likes. It's his football club. He pays the bills and everything. But for us who are going there week in, week out and sitting these 6 hours and these fans for him, he's just not doing it the right way, is he?
No, Ian, because I feel, and there was that big long chat on Owls Talk, wasn't there? That big long thread about this geezer who used to work for Chancery and he's absolutely obsessed with people. When he's not there, they're taking the piss and everybody's after his money. But they're also they go to great lengths in that original post to talk about how much that there is a cultural difference in terms of the way that the boss is revered and they're in charge, like it used to be back in the 50s, power to the people, tooting Popular Front, making toilets on Carry On movies before the unionized and that type of thing, right? A lot of references in there you're going to have to Google, Charlie, my apologies. But there is a lot of chat about the way that there is a breakdown because of where he's from rather than how he does it. But I agree with Stevie. Two people should be able to sort it out, especially when, and this is the worst bit, they've got the same common goal. They both want that team to be successful.
And they've had two transfer windows prior to this. We've had a January and we've had a summer. It's not like he's just joined with us at Christmas as the manager again. And this is the first, it's not like there haven't been previous examples of dealings that they've done and players that they've brought in. The only thing I can think that potentially has changed, I don't know, we'll come on to it, is the Southampton thing.
Let's do it.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a perfect segue, Charlie, that you've just gone into there. Like Chancery said, I don't have an issue with him. Does he have an issue with me? I don't know. I don't know. I love that, shrug shoulder. I don't know. He can mug on if he wants. I support him with everything. I give him everything. If he does talk to me, that means he doesn't need anything. If he needs anything, he'll come back to me. I back every coach. I'm confused. I look forward to talking to him.
Maybe there's no problem then. Maybe it's
Just
fine.
I don't know. It's like the teacher. There's two kids in the corner of the classroom having a tear up, clearly fighting over an eraser, and they're going, "What's over there?" Don't know, sir. Do you know what I mean? Or like, prison movies. What did you do to your black eye? Don't know, sir. Fell into a door, didn't I, sir? You know what I mean? It's that type of shit.
But doesn't this just echo that he's probably not got a grip on reality? So you're the owner, you're the chairman, right? So you know it's coming up to January. You know it's coming up. You know that the person below you, the manager of your team, is going to be sounding out people, or the recruitment team are. So you think, I need to talk to him. I need to keep up to date. Yeah, we've got this. They need to talk. But his whole thing is, I'm just going to leave it to the recruitment team, and then that's it. Whatever.
This is what I've been asking him to do for years, right?
Well, yeah. But then he's gone. Here's £1 million. That's January's transfer. Just say, I don't know if it is or not, but whatever. That's enough for 3 loans, 4 loans, buy one person, whatever you think. You and the manager, you go and do it, and just leave him alone and do it. So when it comes to a question like that, when was last time in December, and there's a list, or I talk to him, I don't talk to him, then we want him. He's not said much for 18 months. He's been well out of the picture, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's been mint. He's signed 13 players in the summer.
Yeah. It's been all that, and then is now accused of not talking to the manager and staying out of it, but we want him to. So I don't know. I really don't know. He's not right. But then if Danny's running it, and the recruitment team, who have brought in quite a few good players, haven't they? They've done all right. They brought Shea Charles in, Gassama, Masaba. Oh, all right, then that's about it. but kept hold of Bernard as well. Beadle, yeah. So it's an hard one, because you want him to stay out of the way, because he's been brilliant.
Then
if he says if I hadn't spoke to the manager, then it's
that's
like
too far.
Yeah, it feels like we've shone a torch into like a cave and been like, oh my god, it's full of bats. It's like we probably knew there was bats in there.
We knew there was
but
bats.
while ever we didn't know, it was just like nice, calm and quiet. And now the fans forums kind of like, it shakes everything up, and you're forced to kind of confront once again. Oh yeah, there's loads of rot, there's loads of shit under the surface.
Yeah.
And I think
exactly
that's the problem. We wouldn't really be thinking like, and maybe role doesn't mean half the things he inadvertently sort of says in maybe when he said, oh, ask him at the fans forum, maybe he wasn't deliberately trying to be like, I don't know, ask him. Like maybe he was just, do you know what I mean? Like just like commenting on little things. But now that it's all got like really focused in, it's become an issue. It's become more of a thing. I don't know.
Lads. This is like actually having a proper expert on this show, because she knows what she's talking about. Does anybody else feel a bit emasculated? Does anybody?
But what if he was, and what if that is the case, and what if
Charlie, tell us, Charlie. You're the professional that we've got to tell us, Charlie.
but exactly, what if? I mean, I think it's worth pointing out that we're responsible for giving Danny Role that like pedestal. Like we are, and I get it, and I like Role as a manager, but like many things in football, it's always really devastating to find out that you are not quite as beloved by them as they are for you, as it were. And he might be playing silly beggars. He might have at least wanted to talk to Southampton and not been loud or whatever. Like, there might be elements. I don't know why you'd sign a contract and then whinge about it like 6 months later. I don't know. But maybe he is playing silly. And if he is, he's as stupid as Chansiri. The difference is that at least you can see on paper the good work that Danny does on the pitch. Whereas, the only thing Chansiri's ever done to the pitch is, put that banner up, I think. So,
well, let's before Stevie gets into it, because I just want to bookend it, actually, Stevie. So, reluctant Nico, Alan Nixon on X has decided to weigh in and give us what I would refer to as 3-4 week old news. There was a period where Southampton made an approach to Sheffield Wednesday to inquire about the availability of Danny Role, and we went, well, it's going to cost you £5 million, another £5 million for his backroom staff. We discussed it, we talked about it. It was over Christmas. That's what happened, and we knew that Danny Role was a bit butthurt about it. And then Alan Nixon, on the back of all this negativity that came out of the fans forum, I think rode the crest of a wave and wanted to bring it all back up. Is that right, Stevie?
Possibly, potentially. I wouldn't disagree with you necessarily. My biggest gripe with the whole situation is, and I'm going to be controversial.
Oh.
As much as I want Chansiri to get his head out of his arse and be the bigger man and go and have a conversation with his employee, I also want Danny to pick his toys up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get him back. Get his toys back in the pram, because what has happened here is we're in a situation, and yeah. So we've got a comment there on the screen. So in terms of the Southampton interest, I need to be careful. We mentioned that there is something at the beginning. We can't go into detail. There was contact from Southampton. So Chansiri's admitted that Southampton have been in touch. They made an approach and they've offered a certain amount of money. Now, if we rewind to the summer, Danny Rule has signed a contract with Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, and it took a period of time. And I'm not saying this is hard and fast, but my understanding is that it took a period of time because Danny wasn't happy with the original compensation figure. And this is speculation. I'm not saying it's hard and fast, like I said. He wanted it to be lower than Chansiri had got. So let's say pie in the sky. So we're not saying that this is a number. £20 million. It won't have been that. But if Chansiri's gone 20 million to release Danny from his contract, whatever the number is, Danny's gone, no, I'm not having that. They've then negotiated. We've then gone back and Rule has gone, this number that you've said here, which we believe to be 5 million, it may or may not be, we believe it's going to be 5 million. If somebody comes in and offers £5 million for me and I want to go, then you can't stop me. And that's what Rule has said. And Rule has signed a contract that has been drawn up by Chansiri and his advisors and everybody else, and we're all on the same page. Now, the problem is, and this is something that Ash talks about a lot, because Ash gets frustrated about the fact that when Rule's had his head turned, and at the first opportunity, he wants to go and talk to somebody else. I'm not here to talk about the what's, whys, and wherefores as to why that has happened. What we are saying is, factually, somebody has made an approach for Danny Rule. Rule has gone, I'm interested in going. Training grounds better, academy's better, we're further up the league, circumstances, blah, blah, blah. I've got more to play with. I can do more down at Southampton. Because let's be right, he's operating on a shoestring with us. Whatever you want to talk in relative terms, he's struggling at Sheffield Wednesday. Now, if Danny Rule has signed a contract with a figure on it that says this is the compensation that it's going to take to release me, and Southampton wanted to pay that money, then Southampton could have had Danny 2 weeks ago like that. The fact of the matter is, Danny Rule has signed we've signed that deal. Southampton have come in. They've gone, can we have him on the cheap? And people are going, and he's gone, no. Danny's gone, I'm not happy at that. I want to go. Chansiri's gone, no, you've signed a contract. I've got to future-proof and protect my investment. For everything else that we're talking about, Chansiri's going, I've got to protect my investment. I've got to look after the club. I've got to get everything sorted. Now, I'm nearly done. If Rule then comes back and goes, I'm not happy, I'm not going to talk to this chairman because this chairman's not going to release me, then the problem in that instance, in that context, sits with the manager, because he signed the contract. He was the person that said, if you let me go, if they're offering this much money, let me go. And Chansiri agreed to that because he signed the contract as well. He drew up the contract that they've signed. Southampton are playing silly buggers and trying to get our manager, and I believe he's the best manager we've had in 30 odd years, on the cheap. We've said no. Southampton want him, pay 5 million, because you can frigging afford to pay 5 million. Anybody else wants to come in, whatever the number is, pay the money and you can have the manager. I don't want Danny to go. I think he's the best manager we've had. I love the bloke as a coach. I can't speak to him as a person because I don't know him. However, for the best of the club, I want to keep him at the club for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. I want him to get us out of this league this year if possible. And Chansiri needs to back him and he needs to do it sharpish. All right? That's where we are with it.
Say sign the contract again. I tell you, but no, you're absolutely dead right. And I feel that having that contract in place is where DC's belligerence as a human being has actually paid off. Hey, he's gone, hey, I want to renegotiate my contract. Apparently now he's Italian,
right?
Mexican.
Whatever.
Daniel,
hey,
yeah, Senor Rule.
Hey, there's a reason why I do these accents, because I know that there are some connotations behind some of these accents. So if I get it wildly wrong, I mean, bear in mind, right? Chancery's from
Tyler.
Asia whereabouts, and if I did that accent, I'd set the internet on fire, and I get cancelled every week, Chaz. Do you know what I mean? So just going, hey, I wanna renegotiate my contract, love, and he's gone, and he's gone. Get lost. Well, I've got the mug on. What are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Because Rolls is in a catch-22 situation, because if he drops his tools and goes, fuck all this, and then lets the team fall to shit, his stock's going to fall to shit, and no one's going to want him. So you signed a contract, Jeff.
I just want to say, like, back to the forum and the whole circus of it as well. His stock answer to a lot of the questions raised by some of the girls and guys there was, do you own a business? And that was, he must have said that 10 times, 6 to 10 times of people, do you own a business? And a couple of guys there did say, yeah, I own a business.
Yeah, do actually, you idiot.
Yeah, they did. But it was very much like talking down to you as well. I felt like it was very much trying to belittle you with his first retort to a question was, do you own a business? So basically saying, well, you can't really ask that question because you don't know anything. But we're looking like he doesn't know how to run a business either, does it, at the minute?
No, exactly.
Yeah, I'd love him. I'd love him, right, to open like a shop in the old Charlie Brown's, right? Just sell Chancery Sheffield Wednesday based tap, right? Just open a shop at the corner of that, outside the ground, right? His own Chancery's mega store. He buys the Terrace Life leases or whatever the bloody hell they've got, so they can use the actual badge, and they, you know what I mean, and they open that shop. That shop will be shut in about 6 months, because I've ran businesses and I'm better at it than he is, and I feel like I know what the customer would want. And if you want to call us customers, give the customer what they want, and that's a difference for me. That's where I have an issue. Let's get through it, because we're doing well for time. We're doing all right. So, in terms of the DC-DR relationship, we've got, has the relationship changed between you and Rolls since the Southampton approach? And Chancery has said a lot without saying anything. Does anybody else want to proffer a voice, or shall I do it?
You do it.
I'll have
the best.
Go
on, Ash.
Yeah, I don't have any issue. I always support. I give everything. If he doesn't want to talk to me tomorrow, what can I do? I want best.
Does he need a poo? Why is he talking like that? Is he constipated?
I tell you what, Ash, now knowing that you could do that, we're going to do sketches galore. We're going to be TikTok sensational, mate. That's what's going to happen. Get somebody, get him a strepsil. And then as time went on, obviously there was this rumbling, and like, you know, constantly checking his phone and things like that. And there was a point where he thought there was something happening, and inevitably around 11:59 during the evening, brace yourself, kids. Let's have a moment of mourning. That Chancery received a phone call that Southampton, purely out of spite, unless anybody's got any other opinion to proffer, purely out of spite, at the 11th hour on the last day, decided to call back Shea Charles and give him his week's notice to get him back to his original job. I personally am absolutely devastated. However, this did come hot on the heels of DC saying, in my opinion, he's not ready for the Premier League. And within half an hour, Rob Statten had tweeted, I think it was something like, Shea Charles is still a Sheffield Wednesday player. And then I think it was 9 minutes, wasn't it, Ash?
7 minutes.
Is that what it was? 7 minutes. And then rather sheepishly, he just tweeted, Shea Charles being called by Southampton. Chaz, are you going to be okay? Because I am not.
Can I just say, right, I went to bed about 11 and I'd got this idea for a meme I was going to tweet the next day. You know, at the end of Muppets Christmas Carol, where it's like,
who did not die.
I was going to put, and Shea Charles, who was not recalled, and I was going to put that out. And I woke up ready to go on Twitter, and I was like, just scrolling through.
Honestly, Chaz, that is something I can absolutely empathise with when you get some memes ready, and then there's always a last minute goal that absolutely.
I had none. I had no Muppets Christmas Carol memes for him going. I had nothing. I was bereft. Yeah, it was. It's really poor, and I almost think as well, it would have been awful anyway. But I think because it's been intrinsically linked with the forum, literally the forum could have not happened, and we could have then got the news he'd been recalled at the 11th hour, and we'd just be dealing with that. But I think it's now almost come into this, like, I don't know. Like
Yeah,
more like, oh, it's like it feels like it's Chansiri's fault because he said stuff about him that's maybe took out of context, or because the forum was going so badly, it's like Southampton have gone, we've got to get our boy out of there, or it's because of the role thing. Oh, Southampton are like, right, well, we'll take, like, it's, and it might not be any of that. It sounds like it might be because they don't know whether Chelsea are going to take their Lado back. So it's a bit like, it would have been awful for us, and this shit's happened to us all the time. We always fall, you don't fall in love with a lone player, blah blah blah. But I think it's now like, oh, nice one, Chansiri, because it feels like it's connected with the forum, and maybe it is, like, maybe Southampton have gone, this man is insane, stay away from
I
her.
can't.
Stevie, go on.
Sorry, I can't believe for a second that Southampton are sitting there with all the players that
Scrolling.
they've got out on all the players that they've got out on loan, with everything that they've got going on. They're struggling at the bottom of the league. There is no way that they're sat there going, "Oh, Shea Charles is on loan at Sheffield Wednesday, and Sheffield Wednesday chairman's having a fans forum this evening. They wouldn't let us have, so let's watch and tune in." I don't think that's happened. I think it's probably closer to the incident around the Chelsea lad potentially going back. It makes no sense to me at all to go, right, I'm going to spike Sheffield Wednesday by recalling Shea Charles if we haven't got a plan for him. So he's either going to go somewhere else or just pie in the sky.
They're using it to garner more money.
100%. He's doing that good a job. Yeah. We're going to change the conditions of the loan, and we'd be more than happy for him to come back. And I know that we're talking about it being a minuscule opportunity for him to return because he's done so well. But, they're now looking elsewhere. However, if Southampton can go to us, right, we've now got you over a barrel. You can have him back, but you're going to pay this much money. And if you get into the playoffs, you owe us this much more. And if you get promoted, you owe us this much more.
I agree with you, right? I agree with you that bear in mind, Southampton have used the terms of the loan in order to draw him back and then loan him probably back out again at the end of the month in order to, garner more cash and, have a loan fee and put in loads of clauses, like you say. But if we've not safeguarded ourselves for that, then it does fall back onto DC for signing a shitty contract in which that was allowed, no?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, mate. And it frustrates me that we're in a situation where there's a recall clause, and I don't know the ins and outs in terms of what's happened. The timing is frustrating as hell. So something's happened somewhere. I think it's coincidental that it's happened on the night of the forum. But I don't
think the forum was the issue, but I think the 11th hour was.
Yeah. Exactly that. That's exactly what I mean. But you're right. If that's what's happened, and if that is the nature of the contract, then it goes back to the point we were making 15, 20 minutes ago. Chansiri needs to get his house in order. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can. He's to get his house in order and be ready. If Shea Charles is going back or he's going somewhere else, then we need to have a replacement in place. And to make sure that the replacement for Shea Charles, who we say week in, week out, is probably the best player we've had since we've been in the Premier League, to replace that person, we need to be aggressively looking for somebody else that's going to come and wear that midfield number 6 shirt or whatever it may be. Now, the only way that we can do that is if we build the bridges between the chairman and the manager, the recruitment team, and everybody else that's involved in that.
We've literally brought it full circle.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Would there be questions asked of the recruitment team? Because we don't hear of. I know is it still Kevin Beadle or into it, not the keeper, obviously. The kid. So would there be questions asked of that recruitment team, whoever they are, as well? Because you don't really hear that, do you? You have a go at the manager for not bringing anyone in, or you have a go at the person holding the purse strings. But you don't know if they're competent to do their job of negotiating or what. I don't know.
We don't know the process. We don't know the process, do we? So is Beadle's remit right? I'm going to go and have a look at Kobe in Japan and identify a left back that we can bring across and get him training with us. Where does Beadle sit with that? Has he come in and said, right, I'm going to get that player in? Is he contacting their agents? Is his job to just look at the players that we're targeting, or is his job to do the negotiating as well? So it's difficult to see who stops and starts where, isn't it?
Yeah. Just had one here, Electric Giblets. My question to the recruitment team is, when do they plan on actually having a replacement lined up to take over from Bannon? Lad can't play till he's 74. But that's again, we're not on about Bannon. We're on about Charles or any player or anyone coming in to enhance the team. It's not just on Roll's shoulders.
No,
it's not just on. All right, then if Chancery's turn around and go, here, you've got 50p and half a Mars bar to get people in, then yes, that's his fault because he's giving them the budget. But if he has given something, as little as it is, then he's hopefully got the people there to go to get people in.
Who's he got in? And this is the other thing. Beadle's only been in the job for a year. People talk about Gassama and Masaba and Bernard. Let's be right. They were Chisco signings.
That's
and
true.
whatever the remit was, or whatever the team was around there, since January when Beadle came in, and forgive me, I'm working on a timeline that we've seen in the public domain. He's brought Beadle in. We've had Pedersen came in at the back end of last year, and this summer we brought in Paveda and we brought in Charles.
Oh, yeah.
And then this time round, this Beadle, this recruitment has been in charge of players like Kabatsky, Ingolson, Jamal Lowe, Max Lowe. You know what I mean? A very mixed bag of results. Into Jan Valery was part of that as well. Mixed bag of results in terms of success. Now, Ash, bless you, you've been trying to keep up with these comments all evening. Can you bash a few up for me? Because I think everybody's losing their mind a little bit, which I really enjoy.
Dunderbirds put, sorry, Chansiri is the leader of this club. He is responsible for everything that happens. That's what leadership is.
Yep.
Probably so.
Can attest to that.
There's also the thing of you've got to let people do their job as well, isn't there? You employ people to do a job. You can't micromanage. And I know Chansiri probably does that because of stories you hear, don't you? That he's got his fingers in everything, which. Yeah. Harpo Speaks has mentioned Amadou. Roll mentioned Amadou. That's the Paxow guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other day. So he's definitely still about. So he could.
Well, he was at the Leeds game, wasn't he? Wasn't he with Chansiri at the Leeds game?
Together, didn't they?
His personal assistant or something, but he's got his thing. So he may have been responsible. I know he gets pelters, doesn't he? But I don't even know much about the guy or anything. So he gets pelters, but he might.
Why does he get pelters?
Because he was involved when the mustachioed clown came in, and whose best result was a draw against Sheffield United. He was involved in that, and he was involved in a company called Doyen Sports, in which we were completely intertwined with, and our signings and our managerial recruitment from Doyen Sports were trash. But he has Chansiri's ear. He's definitely somebody that Chansiri can trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he may have been responsible for some of these signings as well. You don't know, do you?
100%. I mean, Roll actually said, didn't he, that he submitted his list to Paxow?
No, they are then.
Okay, so listen, let's get on to the last moment, or the prequel, the bit in between of the fans forum. Now, what happened is Club 1867. Have I got that right? It is Club 1867. 1867 group. Sorry, my sincerest apologies, chaps. The 1867 group have got back together. I don't think they broke up, by the way. I need to be very careful in saying that. And they've gone. They've shouted their voice a little bit more in a couple of handouts with Chansiri's face, and then one with Danny's face as well, where they've got a full-on looking Danny with Danny We Trust written on the back of it. There is the umbrella group, the Supporters Trust flyer there. I'm sorry, I'm doing this a really bad disservice, aren't I? My sincerest apologies. But the guys have been back on, and they're garnering some support for their Chansiri Out campaign. I don't feel it's my place on this show to tell you or to which side to vote on and which side to go and how it all happens. I just hope that it's measured. I watched a wonderful film the other day based around the 2016 Brexit debate. And I know this is going to sound weird, but bear with me. There's a wonderful point where Benedict Cumberbatch's character, who's actually playing Dominic Cummings, has masterminded this new way of trying to garner votes, and he's speaking to Greg Kinnear's character, who's playing his opposite number with the Remain Party. And Greg Kinnear does this wonderful speech where he says, "You've changed this game forever." And the way it's gone is that you have to be completely polarized in something. You know what I mean? I like the color blue. Well, I like the color red. Well, you're wrong. And then everything gets really vitriolic. And that's where we've gone as a society. Me personally, I kind of sit and flip flop. But I just want you all to ensure, and don't get me wrong, this is not me taking a dig at the 1867 group whatsoever, because I feel that I feel that them nailing their colours to the mast as they have is impressive. It really is, and they've clearly done their own work. They've seen some things they don't like, but I just want you guys to go out and do your own work, and I hope that we can give you a balanced view on this situation that we've got within the club in order to make an informed decision. Me personally, do I believe that Chansiri is a bit belligerent? Yeah, I do. Are there better chairmen out there? Yeah, there are. And but I also, on the other hand, can also see that Danny Roll ain't exactly blameless in all of this. And I hope that we brought that discussion to you this evening. Does anybody have anything else to add about that? That was a difficult thing to talk about.
No, but I agree with you. I mean, for whatever side of the fence you sit on, the motto for fans that have took on is "We're all Wednesday, aren't we?" And that is what it should be. We are all there to want the best for our club, and if you think the best is to want the chairman out, if you think is doing a good, that's it. But you just don't have a go at other people for their beliefs and thoughts. You can vote for whatever you want, or sit on whichever side, and just treat each other with a bit of respect and stuff. And like Dan said, we're not here to tell you what to do. Of course not. You're all clever enough or stupid enough or whatever you want to think to make your own decisions. So that's where I sit as well, Dan. And yeah, it's not going to be an easy 6 months, I think, for a Wednesday fan, on and off the pitch.
I like what. Oh, go on. I was just going to say, I like what Stevie said earlier, that it's not about necessarily being pro or anti Chansiri, it's about being pro Sheffield Wednesday, and I think that's ultimately what it is. And I think it's like, I don't know if you saw the Windass interview when he made, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he sort of was like, "Oh, just an average week in Sheffield Wednesday," and I think, while that's obviously not good, there is an element where it's like same shit, different day, and there's always going to be those up and downs, and I think, there are always going to be underlying concerns, and whatever you think about the root cause, there is also a lot to be said for we have weathered a lot of things, and ultimately the thing that perseveres through all of it is the fans. Like, players come and go, managers come and go, maybe chairmans come and go, who knows, but ultimately it's all just about us, the fans, that are the actual only thing that keeps the team moving forward, isn't it? Like, we're the real club, as it were.
We are.
It's our club.
It's our club. Support the team, but not the regime and all the other things. I must admit, I'm getting cooked and praised in the comments here, but they're all being quite respectful. So I must admit, I'm all right. Ashley Green going with "Up your arse is okay, Dan," because that's very on the fence. But I also agree. I just want to be informed now. What I will move on to before we go to any other business is that, and I will say this out loud, Adam Shaw is certainly not the answer. If you want to read his statement, it's doing the rounds on the socials right now. There are a lot of phrases and a lot of things said and a lot of accusations thrown at the chairman. I just implore you to take a read of it with an open mind and a little bit of a dissecting mind, and just take a look at some of the things he says and some of the things that Adam Shaw accuses our chairman of doing. I'm not saying he's wrong, and I'm not saying Chansiri is right, but I don't want to use the phrase there are two sides to every story, and in the middle is somewhere, based on your perception, is where the truth lies. And to give you a phrase from a movie, no one is the villain in their own story. And that's the way that I'm perceiving a lot of what's been said, because we've had such a good time of it since Chansiri's been away. And then all of this, all at once, 1867 group coming back out. We were back on telly. I can see why they've tied it. Adam Shaw raising his head and his painted beard above the parapet, coming out all on the back of this fans forum, I find a little bit opportunistic, especially on Shaw's behalf, if I'm honest. John Rhodes has been on with the best comment of the evening. Where did Charlie get her top from? I think that's available on our socials from our Wednesday week chat shop. Thanks for that. Pinch of salt was the phrase I was looking for. Thank you so much. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Some of the stuff that came out of the fans forum as well. I mean, the question was put to him about Adam Shaw and everything, and then it was something about an NDA. So I think both sides have to sign an NDA to get into discussions of you look at your accounts, I look at your accounts, you look at my accounts, and all that sort of thing. And they said that Chansiri wouldn't sign an NDA for whatever reason. I'm not.
He doesn't need to. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I don't know. I don't know what the. I think it's more like that. You're looking into the inners of the. I don't know, probably money and things. So you can't reveal if it all goes to shit and it drops out and the business transaction fails away. You don't turn around. You can go. Actually, when I looked at them books, they were shy. What he's putting. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why. So you can't talk about it. And that was one of the things that he said. He was like, basically, the owner hasn't. He won't sign an NDA. So basically, we can't move forward. And he was like saying he came out and said, Adam Shaw, he can't even afford to pay his bills. So he said that he owed him money for the sponsorship from last season. So it is all that he says, she says, and it's a lot of people looking on. Yeah, a lot of people on social media have obviously. But this Adam Shaw is probably the only one in the last however many years to actually come into the forefront and say, I'm thinking about, I want to buy. There's not been a great deal of other people that we know of, obviously. So I don't know. Why don't he just, if he really wants to sell, you would find a way. You'd say, right, I'm not signing an NDA for whatever reason.
He's got no plans of selling. Like,
sell.
We've had a couple of comments, Ash. We've got a couple of comments here saying NDAs are absolutely standard practice in any takeover discussion. I think they're the other way, but I'll bow to your knowledge. And Sharman's actually said NDAs are a must for any potential buyout. I agree with that, right? It might be the other way. I feel like if Chansiri is presenting the accounts to Adam Shaw, I would say he's the one that needs to sign the NDA so he doesn't out what. But then again, we're a limited company whose accounts get published anyway. So I can see, probably might need to be an NDA. But I agree with you, Ash. There is no intention on selling here whatsoever. In the meantime, I'm going to put up a picture of Shea Charles so we can all have a last minute and just have a moment with Shea Charles. Let's do some piano music. Gling, 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 gling.
Goodbye, my lover.
Goodbye, my friend. There we are. There he is.
Guys, come on, get out. Piss off. He ain't gone yet, man. One, he's going to play on Wednesday. And two, there's still that. There's still that.
I tell you what, it would be the ultimate shithousing by Chansiri, wouldn't it? To go, they are fucking paid it. Come back, Shea.
But then you'd go, look how good I am. Look, you wanted it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
He'd pay the money, and then Southampton go, ha. Now we have exactly £5 million. One Danny Roll, please. The tricked is. They're like £500,000 short, and that's exactly what they're going to charge us.
I started this comment a while ago. So Alex has got a question for you. Shea and Danny swap deal with Southampton. You wouldn't say no.
I wouldn't at all. Because like Stevie says, well, if Roll goes to Southampton and Shea comes back the other way.
Yeah.
Who's more valuable to us on the pitch? Because like Stevie says, I'm a Sheffield Wednesday advocate rather than a Chansiri or Roll. You know what I mean? But if
he got, sorry mate, I was just going to say because Hergel McMurgle's comment's gone up. He got absolutely revered yesterday. The Shea Charles is a Wednesdayite, and it warmed a oldish man's cockles, if you like, watching him because. We've ended up losing the game 3-0, and I'm not going to say it happened because we were on ITV or anything like that. Sometimes Danny gets a bit miffed and we'll go down the tunnel. Certainly at home, he doesn't come and applaud when we lose, and if we lose heavily, he's one for getting out the spotlight sort of thing. Danny yesterday made a point of going out, shaking the ref's hands. He shook everybody else's hands. He applauded the fans. The last person, or the last two, it's always Bannon his last, isn't he? But they made a point of having Charles come over, and he stood there and he was there for a good 30 seconds just applauding the fans. Whatever happens going forwards, wherever he ends up, and even if that stupid bleeding rumour that he's going to end up in red and white on the other side of the city, you can believe or you're not, he has taken the club to heart. He's got an affinity for his time at Sheffield Wednesday. I genuinely believe that. You don't fake his response and the way that he behaved yesterday. So, if we've been a cog in his progressive machine, you know, in terms of his career. I think he'll look back in 10 years and talk about the time that he spent with us quite fondly. And I feel quite sad that he's going, obviously, because
he hasn't gone yet. Come on, lads and
he's
lads.
going.
Jesus Christ, man!
He's going.
Ash is
He's
telling us not to
moribund.
be miserable. Ash is
Our
telling us
relationship-
I'm saying don't be miserable, right?
We're having an emergency pod on Wednesday night at 10 o'clock after he scored
Emily,
5 goals against
Don't
Bristol
cry, come on.
City.
Don't cry.
Listen,
Don't cry.
let's start to wrap it up. Stevie, you've got some any other business, some wonderful news. Let's end on a positive with the guy, the man, the chap. Let's do it. Let's talk about that.
I just thought it was really nice. It popped up with everything else that was going on. The community project, the community in the community club, the Sheffield Wednesday community. What's it called? Initiative project.
Yeah.
Them over there that do the bits, that work with the schools and what have you. They put out on Friday afternoon. Don't clip that, for God's sake. We've been on an hour. Don't do that. Bernard went to Hillsborough Primary School, didn't he? And he did a primary school PE session where he was in there. And you could see that they'd released it was like a minute-long video of him just in his gear, just doing a little bit of a warm-up, a few stretches and what have you. Community program. I did get it right. And it's just nice. And do you know what? I work in a school in Doncaster, and we've had something similar today, where a couple of lads have come across, Rovers players have come in, and
Not
the
Billy
buzz
Sharp,
around
right?
it wasn't. But the buzz around the place, if you get little sort of primary school age kids that get an opportunity to meet a hero of theirs, and just, you know, it would have been an absolute buzz for them. And you see the photo ops in and around the club on weekends, and it's something that, again, without wanting to be controversial, I think we could do better at in terms of offering those experiences, because it don't cost a lot to go and meet a hero for, 10, 15 minutes or whatever it may be. He's done some stretches with a group of kids at Hillsborough Primary School, and they'll have gone home that weekend and last weekend and talked to their parents about what's happened, and it would have meant the world. So yeah, great stuff.
A wonderful piece to end on. Does anybody else have any other business that we need to speak about? Ashley, you've got that face. It's Easter egg time coming up, innit? I've just thought.
No,
it's your big moment, innit? Is it next week you're talking about it?
No, not yet. No, you've got a couple of weeks. Me and Stevie were on about it the other night. While I think Chansiri was on a diatribe for 25 minutes or something.
We were sat there going, isn't it time to get the eggs out?
Yeah.
That's how long he's been talking. It's Easter.
And we were talking, and then someone mentioned your name in the Alistair was like, Ash from the Wednesday. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, Ash, tell us about that. Tell us about that to end it. Go on, we've got 2 minutes. Let's make it a mega episode. Why did you get name checked and then Dom House name checked you? What happened?
No, it's because I'm on the EP, the much maligned EP. We've had it rough in the last 6 months, but yeah, I'm on that, and part of that was the home atmosphere has come up a number of times, and it's been poor for a number of years, hasn't it? Apart from the 1 or 2 games, Newcastle, Arsenal, Brighton, obviously Peterborough, when it matters, the big games, the atmosphere is second to none. But it's your normal week Saturday games or some of the crappy time kickoff. So part of this EP was to put together some sort of, questionnaire or something there to go out to every fan. Don't have to be a part of a supporters group or anything, anyone, and just ask and just inquire about the atmosphere and how we as fans, not podcasts, this is just fans, can help make a better atmosphere. And I know probably having Shea, Charles and Danny Roll there for the next 10 years is going to absolutely help. But this is not on the field stuff. If we're winning, easy in it. But do you know what I mean? It's that. So there's going to be something in the next couple of weeks, a questionnaire or something coming out that's just for you fans to try and help the club with the atmosphere. And I know the engagement panel have been on it now for 3 years, I think it is. It can be better. It should be better. It could be better on things that we suggest as members, and they just don't get took up for whatever reason. It's frustrating, but slowly we're getting there. That some of the things that we're asking for or putting forward by other supporter groups is coming to it. But yeah, So that'll be coming out. Yeah, so Alistair said, Ash from the Wednesday week, he's going to sort that out. So I shrunk up to a little acorn, I did. When
everybody turned around and went, ooh, look at them two.
Ooh, look at fancy Ash. Look at that. Look at that. I tell you what, we've had a suggestion here, though, Ash. Why don't we get a band?
Oh, yeah. What? A rubber band? Yeah.
An electric giblet. Stokey's gone with being able to get a beer in the ground would be a great start. That'd be really good for atmosphere, because the second half, I'm chanting, I'm having a good time.
It's serious, though. Anything like that, and it's got to be, because it is the atmosphere sometimes, majority of the time. It's a couple of songs. I see it on the Cop, and you get a few songs from the guys at the back, and the T1, they belt out a few songs, but generally it's not the best, is it? So it's just something. And yes, probably cheaper beer to get drunk is probably good, but
okay,
I don't think you'd go for that. Yeah, so that's coming out, but yeah, Easter eggs, there'll be something coming out in the next few weeks for that as well, because looking forward to it. Because
we've got 653 to beat from last year. Is that the target? I'm going to make this like comic relief where I want to beat it every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe Stevie,
if unleash the goo.
Yeah, if Stevie got his sums right, the first game might be.
Oh yeah,
the Blades game,
the Steel City.
Oh God Almighty, we're going to get eggs thrown at us. That's what's going to happen. All right. Listen, thanks a lot for staying with us tonight, ladies and gents. I appreciate it. It's been a bumper one, and I really appreciate your feedback. I need to go back and look through some of these comments. There were some absolute barnstormers, and I feel like it's been measured tonight. I feel like we've not fallen any side. I did say Village of Bell End, but you know what I mean. I'm standing by it. Dan Fudge, what? At me. So listen, thanks a lot to Charlie, Stevie, and Ash. Thanks to you lot out there. And thanks to Deshaun Bernard for going to local schools. It makes a change from us getting some players from Maltby Main who just beaten Sheffield Wednesday in a pre-season friendly, and their striker came up to me and went, that David Hurst is shit. That's what happened. True story. Lawton JMI. Hold tight. See you later. Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. Bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.